Hello everybody, it is Miss Tinks here. I hope you're all having a fabulous week so far. It is Monday here at Miss Tinks HQ and there has been a lot going on behind the scenes in these last few weeks. So the office is still making progress. We are still, fingers crossed, running on our deadline of when I go away to Wales, which is the end of July. So the office will hopefully be finished by then, which is super exciting. And lots of new products are in the pipeline following on from that as well, once I've got that designated space to kind of set my stall out and everything and really start making a mark on the products that I've wanted to do for ages but just not really been able to do because of the limited space that I've had in the past. So yes, lots of really exciting things going on behind the scenes. One of the things that I have been working on, and it's just gone out via email to all of my subscribers, is my latest blog post, which has been about how I got started with my personal development journey and how it came about. So the blog is quite short. I am going to go into a tiny bit more detail via the vlog, just to give you guys some context and some idea of where my background has, where my personal development background started and how it's moved on since then. So basically, as I always do with my blog posts, my vlog posts, when it's been based on a blog, I have got it up here in front of me and I will be using it. But like I say, I am going to ad lib a little bit more on this one today, just to give you guys some more context into how I got started. So if you would rather have a read, the blog post will be linked in. As you know, I always put my link tree in with my videos, so you can reach out on social media, you can read blog posts on my website and so on. You can visit my web shop, all that kind of jazz. It'll all be in one place for you. And as always, comments on this video will be turned off because I like to keep this safe for kids. I like to keep it safe for everybody to be able to access my content. So if you do have any questions, if you want to leave any feedback on any of my videos, please again reach out via one of my social medias, or there is a contact form at the bottom of my website. There's a contact option where you can leave a message and I will get back to you that way. So I'm going to get started because, like I say, I am going to talk in a little bit more detail from the blog post. If you're more of a reader and you would prefer that, it's in the link tree. You can have a little read instead. Now, I got started with personal development. Let me think how long ago it would have been now. It would have been when I was about 15, I was getting myself through my GCSEs basically. And I came across personal development because around the same sort of time, my mum started working with a network marketing company. And because in network marketing, you essentially take on what kind of is a franchise from a business, you have to kind of do everything yourself. And my mum had always worked for an employer and had always had a boss and was not used to being her own boss. And lots of people are in that similar sort of position. And obviously there's a certain mindset and a certain set of skills that you have to be able to run your own business effectively. And my mum had got started with the business and was making it work and she was doing really well, but there were certain elements that just weren't falling into place for her, and certain things that she found difficult, skills that she was learning that she was kind of developing by accident. She wasn't really setting out intentionally to build these skills. She was doing it through really hard graft, basically. And we were looking at ways for her to work smarter rather than harder, because she's always been a super hard worker. But there were skills that she was just missing because she'd never needed them before with having a boss, time management, general organization, some being self-accountable, because you don't really have anybody else to be accountable to when you're running your own business, except for the goals that you set for yourself. Goal setting is something that she'd never really done before. And so her team leader recommended a few books at one of the development meetings that they hosted, and they gave her like a little bit of a list to take away and read. And so she got some of those, read them, and found them really beneficial. Now, meanwhile, I am 15 years old, as I said, and I'm putting myself through my GCSEs. I had 4 kind of special subjects that I'd chosen, obviously, as well as your maths, your English, and all your core subjects. And in one of the subjects, my teacher had to go on early maternity leave because her and baby were quite poorly, which obviously cannot be helped. But the teachers that stepped in were supply teachers or teachers from other subjects who had free periods. So at one point I had a dance teacher teaching me media studies, which just wasn't good. It just wasn't right. Similarly with one of my other subjects, the teacher was very new. She was very good with her subject knowledge, but not necessarily her teaching. And unfortunately, I had a lot of people in my form who were quite challenging, a lot of people in that lesson who didn't want to be there. And that made it very difficult for the people who did want to be there, because there was a lot of disruption and a lot of arguments and a lot of problems caused. So for those two subjects, my predicted grades were about 3 or 4 levels lower than the rest of my GCSEs, because I just wasn't getting the support that I needed from my teachers. And it got to the stage where I think it was kind of halfway through year 10, sort of end of year 10, probably about this time of year, probably about May, June time, that I realised that if I was going to do well on my exams the following year, I was going to have to knuckle down and help myself, because nobody was going to do it for me. And I didn't even know where to start. I was kind of at a turning point where it was either really run with it or kind of bury your head in the sand and hope it all kind of comes to fruition. And my mum could see this. My mum understood that totally. And she was in this same position a few months before with network marketing, with her own business, because she'd got to the point where she physically couldn't work any harder. She was really, really smashing it in terms of her hard work and her daily grind, but it wasn't effective because there was skills she was missing. And I was in the same position. I was working so hard, but in these two particular subjects, my grades were not going anywhere because there was something missing. And I knew that I was going to have to put that something in myself. I knew I was going to have to provide that. And so my mum suggested I try a few personal development books. And I was a little bit hesitant, obviously, as you would be. Most people see them as self-help, or, again, it's associated with network marketing, which some people don't like, and some people don't. They don't have good connotations of network marketing when they hear that, which is not what we're going to talk about today. But generally speaking, a lot of people who either don't understand personal development or don't know a lot about it, don't have a lot of awareness of it, will hear certain phrases and certain things like reading books and, like I say, this self-help, and will presume something negative related to it. So, of course, I was a little bit hesitant purely off other people's perspectives. But actually, do you know what? It has totally, hand on heart, changed my life. And it is what I do for a living now. Personal development, I make a habit of studying. I make a habit of turning into training. I make a habit of sharing on social media, sharing snippets of my knowledge. And I love it. Why would you not want to make yourself better every day? Why would you not want to learn about how your brain works and how you can tap into that? What have you got to lose by creating more awareness of yourself and more awareness of what you're capable of? And then from there, once you've got more of that awareness, look at practices you can put in place that will align you. And I don't understand why people wouldn't want to do that. And it's took me a while to see that, don't get me wrong. And for a long time, it was easier not to read than it was to read. Things that are usually easy to do are also usually really easy not to do. And so I didn't practice it consistently for a little while, not like I am now, that's for sure. But I really, really connected. It was the first book I ever read. I did read a few around this one as well. I am going to talk about this in more detail, but this was a book I really, really connected with, and it's called Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller. Now, there's a few different covers, a few different versions, a few different editions of the book. I've got the second edition. This is my actual copy, and it was purchased from not a publishing company, but a book company called Knowledge is King. They are massive online. Highly, highly recommend Knowledge is King. It's where I get 90% of my personal development stuff from, I would say. And they're really on it with upcoming authors and new titles, new ideas, new concepts. And as well, they have a book club every month, which is, I think that's a fab idea. I don't partake in it because I read more than one book a month. And sometimes I've already read them. Sometimes it's not where I'm up to at the moment. Like right now I'm studying habits. So obviously it's not every book every month is pertinent to habits. So I don't join in with it, but I have heard that it's fabulous. So recommendation for Knowledge is King there. And also anything by Jeff Keller, but especially Attitude is Everything. So I'm going to go into some more detail behind Attitude is Everything. Okay. As I said, it's probably it was the first book that I read, and it would be my recommendation for a first read in personal development. I have read it about 4 or 5 times. I then went back through and took some notes for you guys, which is what's formed this blog post. So I did that last week. I take something new away from this every single time that I read it, because when you're at different stages of your journey in life, in work, with your relationships and things like that, you're going to take different things away from these books at different times. And the same can be said for any personal development, any personal development book, is that you will take different things away from it every time you read it, because you're ready for different information every time you read. So I would always recommend going back to books in a few years down the line as well, potentially. Okay, there's a few key principles in Attitude is Everything, and they are success begins in your mind. Self-talk is very, very important, and you've got to put yourself out there, essentially. Begin with your mind. Worry about your self-talk, focus on your self-talk, and just put yourself out there. There's 5 key concepts, 5 key kind of ideas that fall into those 3. So you've got like your overarching 3, and then there's 5 steps you should be considering, particularly with your neuroscience and your mindset. Okay. First one being your attitude is everything. It's in the title. Practicing gratitude and recognizing that certain things are sent as opportunities. There's always something you can learn from things. What doesn't challenge you won't change you, that kind of idea. So practicing gratitude is a practice that I've kind of tied on to his principle, because principles should come with practices, which kind of aligns the 2 together. So he's got these 5 ideas for principles. I've got 5 practices that go with them. So number 1, attitude is everything. Practice gratitude. Okay. Attitude of gratitude. Okay. Practicing gratitude, being grateful every opportunity. There is something in it somewhere that is good for you. Some things are meant for you, some things are not. And you've just got to be grateful all the time and be grateful for what you've got. It does go into a little bit of neuroscience in the background, not too much. It's not too much of a heavy read, which I really enjoyed, especially when I was brand new to it and I just wanted to know a little bit about it. Obviously, now I know a lot more behind the neuroscience, and I will come on to that in a little while. But neuroscience wise, it's not too heavy. I'm just going to give you, like I say, principle and then my idea of practice behind it. So his second thing is you are a human magnet. You attract all the time, always attracting. So use affirmations to help you bring into your life what you are looking for. Number 3, picturing success, visualization. Essentially using visualization to picture what you're going to look like in 5 years time, in 10 years time, in 6 months time. And what I really like about this book is he's been through some interviews with like Shakira as an example in here, and a few other people who have visualized since being little where they are now, and that is one of the main things that has kept them going. And I really like that he's included that in there, because it's not just him, it's other success stories along the way. Making commitment, okay, so putting it out there that this is what you're going for and this is what you're aiming for. And again, it helps with that alignment. So your affirmations and visualizations will be aligning you all together at that point. And then turning problems into opportunities. As I said before, a little bit to do with gratitude. It's about perspective, okay? So attitude is everything. You're a human magnet. Picture your success, make that commitment, put it out there that that's what you want, and then turn every problem into an opportunity to learn. Okay. Problems are problems, and they do come along and they do challenge you and they can be negative, but put some perspective on the situation and look at what you've learned, look at how you've grown, look at how that challenge has moved you forward, essentially. It's all about your perspective and your attitude, essentially, is from this book. Okay. Like I say, I use them in my daily life. and it's honestly made such a big difference to me. I understand the neuroscience a bit deeper, but on a really basic level, they are 5 things you can be trying, which, well, I would try reading the book. That would be my number 1 job. But there's 5 practices there you can be using that will help with your attitude and your mindset, essentially. Now, the second part is, like I say, self-centered, really, self-talk centered, sorry. So that's a topic that I love because self-talk is this whole neuroscience thing for me. It's really tactile. There is proof that this works if you want to believe that it works and if you practice it consistently. Your affirmations, your visualization, and as I say, it is very, very neuroscience based. So he explains the concept without much of the neuroscience. However, I know that there is neuroscience behind it. Basically, you have a part of your brain at the back towards your spinal cord, known as your reticular activating system, or your RAS. You might hear me in other videos and concepts talk about your RAS, basically, okay? This takes your thoughts, it takes your words, and it turns them into beliefs, okay? And then those beliefs become actions, and then those actions give you results. So what you're thinking all the time and your self-talk produces beliefs, produces actions, produces results. Because when you think these things, especially if they're negative towards yourself, when you think them, they become emotional, they become emotionally charged, and that develops a feeling, and these feelings develop beliefs, and your beliefs develop actions, and your actions develop these results, which essentially encompasses in its entirety the saying, what you think about, you bring about. It's the law of attraction in a nutshell, okay, which again is another topic for another day. But this reticular activating system is a part of your brain. It is there, and that is what it does. There's no room for what's the word I'm looking for? There's no room for argument on that one, I suppose, is the message I'm trying to get across. Is that is how your brain works. There is that part of your brain that is always listening to your self-talk. And he goes through some really good self-talk strategies in there, which I found at the time really, really helpful, because that's when it came into play with these things are really easy to do, but they're also really easy not to do. And when I was putting myself through my GCSEs, it was vital that I did them. And my self-talk was a big part of getting myself motivated and being accountable to myself. And that was what my mum found really difficult as well, is that self-accountability. So it really helped with that. The final part of the book, so section 3, is tying everything together here that Jeff's already talked about, and is basically that push and telling you to just get out there and give it a go. Failure is inevitable, but use your perspective to think about what you've learned from it, realign yourself using your affirmations and your visualizations, and you go again. It's very, very simple. Essentially, practice these 5 principles he talks about in the beginning, all his bits around mindset, okay, and using your mindset to your advantage. Be careful with your self-talk and put yourself out there and just go for it, okay? Confront your fears, surround yourself with positive people. He talks a lot about self-talk also being the people you associate with. So as well as your self-talk, it's the talk that's around you and the talk that's in your circle. And from there, put yourself out there and you're onto a winner. Okay, so that's the book in a very, very small nutshell. As I say, my ultimate recommendation personally would be to buy it and read it. Use Knowledge is King if you want to, or you can get it eBay secondhand. You know, sometimes when I'm looking at books that are quite expensive brand new, I will always go and look on eBay for secondhand versions, or Amazon for secondhand versions, because it is much, much, much cheaper and much better for the environment nowadays as well, let's face it. So I always like to do that first and just have a little look and see what these things are going for. As I say, you know, believe it is just the beginning. Your reticular activating system in particular is something that is absolutely working for you or working against you. And I love that in this book, it goes into that in a really simple way. You know, you've got your 5 things you should be doing every day. Worry about your self-talk, practice that consistently, and just go for it is the message on this book. And consider all the time that your attitude is a choice. How you want to look at things is a choice. How you want to respond is your choice. It says on the back, attitude is a choice. So keep that in mind. That would be my recommendation ultimately, because I think it's a fabulous Okay, my darlings, believing is just the beginning. Have a really good rest of the week. Take care, look after yourselves. And if you want to know any more about personal development books or any of my recommendations, as I said before, use the link tree to get in touch, because I've got shelves of them and lots of different recommendations for authors, topics, etc., etc. So please have a look. Please get in touch if there's anything that you want to know more about. And in the meantime, please leave some nice feedback, give me a thumbs up, please consider subscribing, and please consider following all my other social medias, and then you can stay up to date. Also, the people who have subscribed to my website, there's a form on the bottom of my homepage, have had access to all of this first. So if you want first look at all of my content, that is the place to do it. That is the place to do it. Become a subscriber to my whole website. And then when new content comes out, you guys will be the first to hear about it. Okay, my darlings, have a really good rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Believing is just the beginning.